when we usually start. If you could either gather and have a seat, or you're also welcome to stand, but if you could kind of move a little bit this way, and be ready to start in just a few minutes.
Just let me know when you're ready,
So just before we start, I think it's Global News, am I right? Global News is here. I just wanted to let people know this will be being filmed, and we're in a public space, and we're also be live streaming it. However, I've talked to those filming, and if you would like privacy and not to be on TV, that's of course fine with us. If you would not like to be on TV, Jen, can you put your hand up? If you sit back next to Jen, you won't be on TV. I've been assured they won't video that area. So I just wanted to give people the option if you want privacy. I know that's important. I just want to make sure that people know that. So thanks, Jen, for putting your hand up. So if you want to sit back there and you don't want to be on TV, feel free to do that. So we'll start. I just want to say welcome to the Toronto Homeless Memorial. My name is Greg Cook. I've been involved volunteering for the Homeless Memorial, I think, since 2010. I'm getting old and forget such things. But I've been involved for quite a while. And in that time, the number of names that we add each month sadly keeps getting bigger, and the number of people who are unhoused, the suffering and oppression that people experience in this city just keeps growing, and it's just awful. We meet here on the second Tuesday of each month at noon for two reasons primarily. The first is to grieve, to remember, to celebrate the lives of people who die in Toronto without housing. And so it's important that we do that well here today, and that's my hope, that I can kind of lend a hand to making sure that that happens. We want friends, family, to have a space where they can grieve their loved ones. We also meet to say that what's happening, the fact that so many people, thousands and thousands in Toronto, don't have housing, the fact that people are dying, hundreds every year, is reprehensible. It's unconscionable. It shouldn't be happening. We live in a city with lots and lots of money, and frankly lots of housing, but people can't afford housing in this city. So we also meet to say that that's not okay, that that's unjust. I want to start by reading a land acknowledgement. I want to thank Lee Kern, who couldn't be here. Her baby is sick today, but she wrote a land acknowledgement for me to read. I acknowledge that this land and is the land and sovereign territory of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe Confederacy, who have lived here since time immemorial, who made treaties with the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and allied nations. We recognize the enduring leadership of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Indigenous peoples here in our community, many of whom have led and taught many of us about caring for one another, physically, spiritually, and mentally, through pandemic and an epidemic of death of houseless people. We recognize with respect the powerful ancestors who have gone before us and the brave spirits of those who are honored here at this memorial. I'd now like to pass the mic to Sandra Campbell of Toronto Urban Native Ministries and the Mohawk Nation. Sandra.
Apologies. Normally I have a helper, one of our elders in the community and the Toronto and houseless community will come up and help. But anyways, thank you for that introduction, Greg. Seigo, Wache, Oho, hello. My name is Sandra Campbell, and I come originally from Ganawakia Waka, Mohawk First Nation, unceded territory. And I live, work, and play in Treaty 13, where I raised my kids. I also am the Indigenous Outreach Coordinator at Toronto Urban Native Ministry, and I've been there for quite a while. And we've been asked to partake and to help our community, for our voices to be heard, for the houselessness. I don't say homelessness because it's very difficult to say that from an Indigenous perspective. Yes, there is homelessness, but it's houselessness, because how can you ask someone that and tell them that they're homeless when they're on their own territory? So in a good way, I'll be starting and opening up and taking the smudge pan out and smudging, preparing this area for ourselves so we can stay on track and be one mind. And I hope everyone can hear me, but I know when I sing you will hear. I can get it out there. Passing the mic over back to Greg.
Thank you, Sandra, for starting us in a good way. She's going to be coming around if you'd like to smudge, feel free. Next, I'm going to be reading the names that we'll be adding to the memorial. We ran out of space on the physical memorial here, so there's some art, which we're really grateful for to the artist, an Indigenous man who's also experienced being unhoused. But the names will go up online, so you feel free to check out the website. There's pictures next to some of the names. I know for many people that's an important place they can go to remember. So I'm going to read the names through once, along with the date of death. And then we'll have a chance for people who knew the people that I read, the names, to come up and maybe tell a story or say something in remembrance of the people that we're adding to the memorial this month. So that'll be. I think there's a number of people who want to come up and speak, which is good. So please do that, and maybe take the next few minutes as I read the names to think about what you might want to say if you don't already know. And then once people have had a chance to maybe tell a story or talk about what somebody meant to them, I'll come back up and read through the names again, and then we'll have a moment of silence to respect the people who have passed. Okay? So that's kind of what's going to happen during the next portion. So the first person we missed adding to the memorial, they passed in 2014, is David Burke Rutherford. Died December 25, 2014. So they'll be being added to the memorial. On July 11 of this year, Larry Wiggins, a resident at the Delta Shelter Hotel, died. On August 10, person Mike, who was 78 years old, passed away. On August 11, Réal Leclair died. On August 23rd, Jay, who was staying briefly at Allen Gardens, died of an overdose. And in late August, we're trying to still confirm the time, a person named Shelley passed away. On September 2nd, Alan Gardner, a resident at the Delta Hotel, died. On September 3rd, Donna Waddell, also a resident at the Delta Hotel, died. And then the last person I'm going to mention, we don't know enough to put them on the memorial yet. We're still trying to figure out some details. But around September 5th, somebody overdosed and died at the Lamport Stadium encampment. So I just wanted to recognize them, even though we don't have the full details yet. We're still working on that. This is a lot of deaths. These are people who many have held dear. So I want to give an opportunity to people who knew those of the names I've just read to come up. Just come one at a time. Or if you need somebody to support you, that's also fine. I'll make sure that there's a chance for that now. So somebody right back there.
Hi there. So I put Mike on the list. He was sleeping rough. I don't know actually where he slept, but each morning he would come to my street and sit down outside and have beer. And we got to know each other pretty well over the past few months, while he was kind of hanging out in the area. And he was 78. He did not look 78. I was really shocked when he told me that. I don't know his last name. He talked about his wife a lot. She passed away some years ago. And I could tell he loved her a lot. And one really hot day, August 10th, he coded outside the street pavement at the Crossroads shelter, and they called an ambulance and did CPR, and yeah, well, you know how that goes. But anyways, I had a lot of good mornings talking to Mike, and he was a very positive presence. He called me dear all the time, which made me feel really nice, and he was, just a really kind guy, and he hit a really rough patch after his wife passed, and I hope they're together somewhere. Thank you. Miigwech.
Thank you for saying those words. Just so people can hear, please speak fairly close to the mic. I think it just helps.
Hi, Hi. I'm the one who put David Rutherford on. He was one of my closest friends. I considered him a little brother. And I didn't know this existed and that he would have really wanted some kind of recognition. So I wrote him a letter. David, you are my friend. Still are in a lot of ways. The thing I remember most is your mischievous smile. You knew that this place was so messed up and you did your best to make it beautiful. You loved to paint, dance, smile. You introduced me to one of my favorite bands. I hope you know I still have every gift from that 16th birthday where everyone else forgot. I'll cherish the memories of our late night train track walks. Life didn't give you a chance. My child is almost as old as what you were when you were first out on your own. And his first Christmas, I learned you had passed. I'm sorry, David. You were like my brother, and everyone failed you. I think of the kindness and joy you brought to ordinary or troublesome things all of the time, and you made me a better person. I love you and miss you, dear friend.
Thank you for those words. Anyone else would like to come up and share a memory or a story? Please.
Hi, I wrote a few things down because I knew I might get nervous. Okay. My name's Anne-Marie, and I was a street nurse here in Toronto for many years, and Honour Réal. I had the honor of meeting Réal one day when Constable Scott Mills called me and said, "Hey, I have someone that I'd like you to meet." My life changed forever. I could have never imagined at that time the type of impact that Réal would have on my life and so many others. I met Réal for coffee after work that day, nearby where he was staying. He was homeless at that time and unwell in many ways, yet I remember being struck by just how insightful he was. He explained the reasons why he did not want to come inside, and as we all know, there are so many barriers in our shelter system that his reasons for not coming in were quite valid. We continued to meet up and just visit and developed a friendship that was just as important as being his nurse. Many times I remember how kind and caring he was. We would go for lunch and he would reach into his pocket, jump up from the table and go out front of the restaurant and donate to the man who was panhandling out front. Réal didn't have much, but he gave everything he had to others who were also in need. When Union Station was under construction, he took me on a tour down underneath Union Station where many people were sleeping that were unhoused, and he helped me give out supplies to them. I never met anyone like Réal. He was just such a kind heart. He also had an incredible sense of humor and a killer laugh and smile. I took him to the St. Patrick's Day parade with my family one year, and there was Réal out on Queen Street dancing in a leprechaun hat. He had dark days, he knew struggles, and he knew rough times, but he was also very, very content. He was a man who lived life on his own terms. He would let you help him, but he had to accept that help. Where he lived in his, I don't want to call it a shack, he lived in a structure that he managed very well in. He was very resilient, and he had a strength like no one I've ever seen. He talked a lot about his bridge to nowhere. I've been thinking about that a lot this week because Réal has left us and crossed his bridge, and I hope that on the other side he has found the peace and contentment that he never had here. Rest in peace, Réal. I really miss you.
Thank you, Anne, and those words to remember Réal. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Hope you can hear me. I'm a police officer in Toronto, and I was involved in the investigation of Réal's passing away. And I just wanted to say a few words about how we came to found Réal, and eventually reached out to family. We went down and found his, as Anne-Marie called it, a structure where he resided, and we found him there. And obviously, the investigation to determine how Réal passed away continued, and in the end, it was determined it wasn't suspicious, and he died in peace, as far as I can tell. I saw him. I reached out to family through a friend, ex-colleague of mine, and it took some effort to find family, but it's really good to see that he had the support, he had the family. In my job, there's not a lot of time. There's a lot of times we don't find family, and that's sad. And people have family out there somewhere, and we do our best efforts. But it's really good to see everyone here that could come out and support. Like I say, I met Anne-Marie. I reached out to his family. His son's here, and we had some conversations. And it just it's comforting knowing that we can find family and reach out to them and put that personal face to people that we come across who have greatly passed away. So I just wanted to give you a little background on how I found him. And like I said, he was in peace. I didn't know him, but I just wanted to let you know that. And it's just great to see all the support here, and talk to family, and it's wonderful to see everyone here to support in this situation. Like I said, not a lot of, you don't see a lot of support, so I was very happy to come down here. It's an honor to say a few words on behalf of Réal. Thank you.
Thank you for those words. Anyone else?
My name is Stéphane Leclair. My father was Réal Leclair. Today I really want to talk about, mental healthness, because I think that before the pandemic, we as society didn't really, care about the mental health. It didn't touch us really right away. During the pandemic, many people had financial stress and had their life turned upside down, and we as a society began to see that the mental health was touching a lot of people, sane people with regular life, and mental health is different for everybody. It's living different for everybody. I'm 38, and I've noticed I accepted my father's mental state only at 35 because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why he was acting like that. I didn't know why he was calling me in the middle of the night for saying those things, and I used to get really mad at him and hang up. And I was personally diagnosed with bipolar paranoia. So when I understood the sickness, I had a long talk with my father when he came at my place, and I said to my father, I said I was sorry. Because we as a society, we don't understand the impact on the family. We don't understand what they're going through. Homelessness, sometimes it's not by choice. It's something that affects you as a person, your head, yourself, your soul, and society is not ready to deal with that. And after the pandemic, the society realized that it was a greater deal, and it was a problem. And we're starting just now to talk about mental health and to consider that, you know, it's going to be a problem in the future. But I'm sorry for everybody who lost someone in the pandemic, but I guess we needed a big wake-up call to, as a society, as everybody, to say there's a problem somewhere. So, I just, at least my father, when he came one day, I told him, well, you have grandkids. I have 4 kids. And he was in shock. I said, Dad, if you want to see them, you have to calm down. If you go haywire, they're gonna get scared and they won't see you again. And he was so calm every time he came at my place at home, sitting down by the corner of the table with coffee. My oldest daughter, Heidi, she's speaking a little bit English, so she tried to speak English with my father. Every time he was calm, and we could have calm conversation. But the last time I spoke with my father, it wasn't a kind conversation. It wasn't a good day. In fact, I was screaming at my father to just go away. And if the speaker is loud enough, to hear me, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Knowles. I'm a retired Toronto police officer. First off, I want to honor everybody that's being honored onto this memorial today. They're people, they belong, and they deserve to be honored. I knew Réal Leclair since 2010 when I met him in my capacity as a police officer on the weekend of the G20 here in Toronto. He was outside Toronto Police Headquarters. I was inside Toronto Police Headquarters. I was wearing a police uniform, full police uniform with a sidearm, firearm. An employee of Toronto Police ran into the building, grabbed me, and said there's a man outside that's threatening to kill 5 police officers. And if anybody was around that weekend of the G20, you probably didn't want to be saying you wanted to kill 5 police officers. There's police officers on every corner, and it was not a happy weekend. I went outside. He had a weapon. pointing my firearm at him, told him to drop it. He did it. I told him to drop it again. He came towards me. I said, drop the knife now. I'll buy you a coffee. He dropped the knife. I put my gun away. I walked up to him. I shook his hand. And we went for a coffee. There's no police report about that. You don't hear about stuff like that. That was 2010. The last time I talked to Réal was August 1st, 2023. He died on August 11th, we believe. Thank you to the mountain biker who found his body, called the police, and my friend Richard Nimmo took over from there, along with the coroner, Dr. Gupta. They determined that Réal had died by a heart attack. Richard told me he was at peace. Richard, one of his colleagues, they couldn't find any next of kin. They did a Google search and they found a Toronto Star article written by Liam Casey, and I'm not sure if Liam's here or not, but Liam Casey took an interest in Réal and followed him around for a month and did a big profile story in the Toronto Star. They found that Star article, they found Anne-Marie's name and my name, and they reached out to Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie immediately, and I think they got Anne-Marie through the grapevine because Anne-Marie's now in Kingston, and Anne-Marie called me. I was in the car, and my fiance said, "What's wrong? Why are you grabbing your phone? You're driving." I said, "It's Anne-Marie." If Anne-Marie calls you, answer the phone. So I said, if Anne-Marie's calling me, something's wrong. Réal's either arrested or he's in a lot of trouble or he's dead. Sure enough, he was dead. So what I want you to know about Réal is, Stefan, there's no need to cry. I told him to shut up many times. We would meet down here. Sometimes he was living in a dumpster over on York Street. Sometimes he was under a bridge. I brought my mom to meet him. My mom's here today, all the way from Chatham, Ontario. And I introduced him to Anne-Marie. He memorized my cell phone number. When I retired from Toronto Police 3 years ago, I ported the cell number over because that's the only number Réal could remember. And when he ran into a cop on the street, he'd just say, "I'm homeless Joe." Because we started telling his story about his mental illness and where he lived and all the trials and tribulations of it on social media under the hashtag Homeless Joe. He adopted the name Homeless Joe. So when he ran into trouble with a police officer or anybody, especially a police officer, he would say, "I'm Homeless Joe. Here's Scott's number, call Scott." I'm still getting calls for this guy. And I want to tell you this, right up to the Premier's office allowed him to stay in his shack under a bridge for the longest they could when the bridge was going to be under construction. Because they saw the tweet. We go and visit him, we put a message out on social media saying this happened. Somebody knew somebody in the Ministry of Transportation, they called him, "Oh, that's Homeless Joe. We'll go talk to him. We'll bring the right people to talk with him. We'll be nice." That's what it's all about. Recently, about 2 months ago, his bank account was compromised because we got him set up with a bank account because Anne-Marie set him up with a disability pension. He had a bank account. He had a storage locker. We got him into 3 houses, but the demons would come and he would leave the house. He was happy and content in his structures, and there was more than one, believe me. My son and I actually moved him from one in a pickup truck. All of his worldly possessions are in a storage locker here in Toronto. So he paid the storage locker monthly in cash. He would go up to the storage locker and pay them because he wanted to keep them, because his 3 wishes were to get a job, get a house, and have all this bullshit stop. And when he says bullshit stop, he's talking about his mental illness. He wanted it to stop. So when he was not in a good state, Stefan, I would just yell back at him and say, I'll come back and talk to you on another day. You call me on another day. Sometimes he would call me and I'd have my 11-year-old son beside me, and he'd say, Réal's really upset. He's kind of scaring me and I'm not even there. And I said, Réal, you're scaring my son. Okay, I'll call you back later. He would call me back later. We would talk. The last time I talked to him, or second last time I talked to him, he was having problems with the TD Bank because his account had been compromised somehow. We reached out to the TD. He's going to go into the bank. I told him to go into the bank to sort it out, but I didn't want them to receive him poorly. So I put a social media post out and I tagged TD Bank and I say, if Réal Leclair, homeless Joe, comes in to see you, please be nice. That's all I said. The chief of police for Toronto Police, Myron Demkew, texts me. He sees it. He says, my wife works at the TD Bank. We'll get this sorted out. That's the type of impact Réal had on people that don't understand or see homelessness on the street every single day. They would reach out to help. And I'm so happy that Maria's here. Maria was one of his outreach workers. Thanks for being here, Maria. You came all the way from Madoc today. Réal's father's all the way here, I believe, from Hemingford, Quebec. I might have the name wrong there. His brother's here from Quebec. His son's here from Quebec. And as I look around at all of you, I see the faces and eyes of people like me who were trying to help people that were homeless, and that's why we're here. Also, there's like people that would bring him, see where he is, I'd say where he is, they'd bring him blueberries and stuff like that. And they're here. Chichi Lam is here. She's a retired Toronto District School Board teacher back there. And I know many other people are going to watch online. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. We got a world-famous drummer that came here. He's sitting right in front of me. I'm not going to call him out. Doesn't want to be called out. But he followed homeless Joe. Talked to homeless Joe. Took time out of his busy day. Donated often because people would send me e-transfers and I'd go down and give them to Réal to pay whatever he needed to pay. And there was a world of people that actually supported Réal. My wish is there's a world of people that will support every single person out there that doesn't have a home and is living on these streets. Be kind. Be kind. Just be kind. You don't have to give people anything. Just give them the time of day and say hi. You're a person just like me. And to all the homeless people, rest in peace. Also, KJ is over here. She always visited them too. Sorry, KJ, I didn't see you. Thank you all for coming, no matter who you're here to honor. And thank you to all the people that went the extra mile for my friend. He always called me old man. I'm going to miss him. Bell payphone, phone call from Bell payphone. I got to pick it up, right? Missed the call. Hey, old man. I go, how you doing, old man? I'm going to miss my old man. Thank you.
I think we have a bit more time for a few more. I just wanted to, before inviting anybody else up, just say I'm really sorry for your loss, Stefan. And I just want to say I respect your vulnerability, and I hope that you in the weeks, months, and years have space to remember the good memories like you shared with us of your father with your kids, but also that you have space to grieve and heal from the hard memories as well. So I just want to say thank you for your words.
Hey, I'm not one to give speeches or anything, but I just cannot handle two cops coming up and talking about how they're so upset about a homeless death, about how they're so heartbroken when I was yesterday, like I was in the park yesterday, where the park where I live, listening to two cops who told me to my face, looked me in the eye, told me to my face, housing is not a human right. I said the UN might disagree with you. They said, well, I don't agree with what the UN says. It's great that y'all, came out and did this PR stunt and, that you had a genuine connection to this guy, but
No, let Al continue. This is important.
It's not, I have an issue with, the fact that cops, every day are, again, the two cops yesterday, right by where I live, said that they agreed with the encampment clearings of 21, that they agreed and that they wanted to do it again in Allen Gardens. It just wasn't up to them. Those are the cops that I deal with every day. And when there's cops that are called to, take my, neighbors' tents down and my neighbors' homes down, and I'm standing because I know that person and I know they're coming back, it's the cops that push me to the ground. It's the cops that throw me against a truck. It's the cops who are killing us. And, out of the uniform, yeah, I'm sure you had a great relationship, with this guy. But, you're telling stories about this guy who it sounds like survived, and I didn't know him, just to be clear, and I'm very sorry for, your loss. But okay, would you like to come up on the mic after me, or do you want to cut me off? Yeah,
I will say this right now. I know this person. They would not. They would
Right
not.
now, I understand your speech and I
Okay.
understand your position, but
They
it's not
would
the
call
time and the place.
somebody
It is the time.
discriminate against them who
There's
is
people in the
experiencing
street and
homelessness.
there's
I am the person, and me and my neighbors, and the people who are on this memorial are on this memorial because of state violence, because of police violence, and because,
Does nothing.
clearly, actually, this is a great example of how cops are perpetuating harm and not letting us take up space. So,
Let Al go.
that,
Let him go.
I sat here listening to two cops talk about how they, pulled, a gun on this guy, and, I sat here patiently through that. So, I'd appreciate if you heard it from my perspective when I'm on the ground every day dealing with the cops who tell me that housing is not a human right and who treat me as lesser than. And I was there with a friend who was housed and cis and straight and white. And as soon as he joined the conversation, because he saw that me as a homeless marginalized person, was talking to the cops, he came to back me up. And as soon as he showed up, the cops acted like I was fucking invisible. They acted like I did not exist. They did not respond to anything I was saying. It was like I was, muted to them. That's what we're dealing with from the cops every day. The cops that dehumanize. Yeah, the cops that dehumanize us, the cops that, fuck us up, the cops that, are displacing us and displacing us and displacing us again and again and again, and, guaranteeing our harm and sentencing us, and, enforcing unjust laws.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do. Because, I'm sorry, I just have no
tolerance, especially yesterday when I had 2 cops look me in the fucking eyes and say, repeat it, and double down again and again, housing is not your human right. Housing is not your human right. Those are the cops I'm dealing with. Those are the cops that are in uniform. Those are the cops, that is who cops are as soon as they put on that uniform. I'm sure personally you guys had a connection to this person. I'm sure you're grieving, and I'm sorry to, say this, but I'm
Quit your jobs.
dealing with the cops every fucking day who show me again and again, and who all but tell me again and again that they want me dead, that they want me gone, that they want me invisibilized, they want my neighbors invisibilized, they want, me to not exist, to not be there, to not be a problem. And I couldn't just stand and listen to that and pretend that the cops aren't the ones who are, contributing to our social murder every single fucking day of the fucking week until they want to come up here for a PR stunt. I'm sorry for everybody's losses, and I'm sorry for everybody who has died, and just want us to be cognizant of the fact that every one of these deaths is preventable, and every one of these deaths wouldn't have happened if the enforcers of the state were not enforcing unjust laws and, criminalizing us and, damning us to poverty and to dying on the streets. Yeah. I'm not, the cops are enforcing the exact system, and some of them gleefully, like the people yesterday I talked to, like the cops yesterday, gleefully enforcing, unjust laws that, and the state that kills us. All right, I guess that's it. I don't know how to wrap this up, but thank you for your time. Sorry about that.
And I just want to say real quick, Al has almost been on this memorial multiple times, and it's been their friends who have saved them over and over again with no help from the cops. They have every right to speak their piece here today.
Here, here.
Woo!
First of all, to everybody, I just want to say sorry about what just happened, for the reason that I didn't know, because I was told this was a memorial for people who passed away. I didn't know that it was a voice for the street. So respectfully, because my father was in that situation, one of a million, I can understand. Back in Quebec, I had my fair share with the law, and believe me, I'm just going to leave it at that. But today, I didn't know it was a voice of the street. So I just want to say sorry for what happened. We're all Canadians. We're all proud to be Canadians.
Not a Canadian.
And Canadians, a Canadian heart must understand and forgiveness. And I'm sorry for what happened. Okay? So it's not in my personality to say sorry, but I think I offend many people here because I didn't know that was for the voice of the street. So again, I'm sorry.
Here, here.
So I think we'll go to the next part. I do think it's important for people to be able to speak their truth, especially if we're not going to do any more today. Okay? I want to create some space for people to grieve. I think it's important to also speak truths of your experience here, but we're not going to do any more today. Okay? So.
All right. 2 days ago, Victor Ferrer died. 1 year ago.
So I just encourage everybody to take a few moments to breathe deeply. And then I'll read the names and we'll have a moment of silence. David Burke Rutherford. Larry Wiggins. Mike Réal Leclair. Jay. Shelley. Alan Gardner. Donna Waddell. And the person that overdosed at Lamport. But have a moment of silence. May each of these people rest in peace. May they rest in power. My good friend here is doing a smudge. I just want to honor that. Gary? Sorry, Gary. I'm wondering if we can switch up the order, if that's okay with you, Sandra. If you could come up and do your song, and then Tom could close with his song. I just feel that it might be create space in this conflict, this very real conflict, and these truths being spoken, to also kind of just hold our emotions and to find a space to grieve as well. Sandra.
Okay, I just want to say that, everyone has their lived experiences. Everyone has their own truths of what they experience out there. I like to acknowledge everyone that stepped forward and everyone that's here to remember the ones that we've lost in community. And I like to say thank you for that gentleman that apologized. I accept his apology. I don't know, I can't say that anyone else will, but I do. I accept it. So I'm just going to end off with, on the streets, it's one of the main values or one of the most important things of survival is information exchange. Having that safe place to come together and share your truth and being listened to. So I also like to thank the person that came here and shared her truth, because that's what she experienced. So I like to say thank you for that too. So her name is what? They. So I'm not here, like, I apologize if I'm not being politically correct, but we're here at this moment to honor and celebrate the ones that we've lost, but also have the ones living to have that voice. So I'm going to end with a traveling song. So I'm kind of holding this mic because now I'm finished talking, but yeah. If you know the song, I encourage you to sing it. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, way out.
Thank you for having my son.
My heart. It's called Language of the Heart. Sorry, I broke the mic. Oh, well, I'm known to do that. Good.
So we're done. Could I ask Bob to come up and as we, if you want to sit, you continue to contemplate, that's fine. If you want to visit, that's fine. But I just want to ask Bob, I'm sorry about the leave in order.
When you broke
I
down.
have a microphone, but I'd love to hear your third song.
Yeah, looks like that might get the dust, so I don't know if I'm just gonna do a bit of like community background, you know, we can fix it painful until we meet again. Thank you, Sandra. You know, I think that we got enough words and